business, marketing, and entrepreneurship from the lens of the digital age. It's time to shine digitally.
Welcome back to Shine Digitally, guys. Today, I want to give you a short little story, simple story of my entrepreneurial journey and what you can learn from it. So, it's been pretty much about a good 8 years, but like full force, I'd say 6, more like between 6 and 5. And this is pretty much me being full-time on my own. Ooh. Excuse me. It's the AM, it's a little chilly out here. So, man, I've learned a lot from these years, a lot of trials and tribulations. And I'm just going to hone in on some big points that were foundational in the change and the improvement and continually learning. So one of them is relationships, guys. The importance of relationships. On your entrepreneurial journey, it's big that you build relationships because no man is the island amongst himself. You know, Bob grows potatoes and Sue has Sue has apples. You know, and so being able to barter and trade, not because of what they have, but just connecting, and the fruits of that person will naturally come forth. Now, on the same token, I've had a lot of bad relationships where, you know, communication wasn't at the forefront and there was hidden motives, and this led to the deterioration of the relationship as well as conflict during this downhill process. You know, specifically, there was one time I was learning plumbing, and a friend of mine, he knew how to do plumbing, so I advised him and looked to him for it, and he ended up bringing a lead through, and so we both was bringing leads in pretty much, but it wasn't clear cut, and he pretty much I think took control of the lead and like started just saying I wasn't doing a lot. And so what you can learn from that, guys, if you do get in a partner relationship, set your intentions clearly up front, because if not, you could run into a scenario where it's like, hey, I'm doing all this and you want this amount of money? Nah, that's not cool. You know, like I've had multiple scenario. Another scenario with a close friend. We went and we did a job, and again, I didn't know how to do this job. So you know, I look to people who know how to do it because you know we shine digitally here, right? And I'm more of the expert in marketing and bringing in leads and whatnot. And so I won't even say expert, more like learning, because there's no pinnacle. But anywho, that was my field, and so I'm bringing in the leads. In this scenario specifically, it was a stucco job, and so my friend, he knew how to do it, so we got in there, we did it, and he said that initially we decided that it was half with the job, and you know, we used his tools, whatever, and but after that, conflict started to come up because he felt like I wasn't doing the same amount of work that he was. And so learn from that, guys, because inevitably you will come across these scenarios. State up front what it is that you can bring and what you will be doing, so that as you do that to the best of your ability, you don't have your whoever you're partnering with saying you're not doing enough, and now they want to renege on whatever the parameters is that you set. Very important. Set those parameters beforehand, because if not, it could lead to a lot of turmoil. Now, second, and a lot of this, guys, is off the cuff. You know, I am going to continue to solidify putting together a more organized approach, but I also like to just get on here and talk to you guys. I really do. So we got the first step, which is relationships, and then a subcategory within that point, which is be aware of some of the pit holes and set your intention up front always. Be communicative, be upfront. Now, the second thing that we've learned on our journey is confidence. That's a big one. Confidence, guys. So you got to be confident enough in yourself to know that you're going to survive, that you're going to push through. But you also have to be moldable. You got to be adaptable to what is, because surviving entails you adjusting to what is. There's no failure, but you have to be willing to fail. If you don't have the stomach to fail a lot, if you have not honed the skill set of learning how to fail and even when to quit, then you're not going to make it. Now, when I say quit, I don't mean quit being an entrepreneur. I mean quit the approach that you was taking. If I'm selling walnuts, right, and I'm knocking on doors, ain't nobody buying the walnuts. If I continue to keep doing this for 6 months with no change, the signs were there. But see, here's where it becomes arbitrary. You hit not, yeah, arbitrary in the sense of random. You cannot be arbitrary. You have to be organized. So I'm gonna knock on 100 doors, and I'm gonna try to make $500 from these walnuts or whatever, right? If that works, cool. If that doesn't work, then we'll go to the next scenario. If it works, I'll build upon it. But see, the reason why this is so important is because if you come to the scenario where you have to make a decision in the moment, it's going to be too late. There's a story that I love. It's essentially two people that are climbing a mountain. They are two guides to the Himalayan mountains, or one of the two guides, or two of multiple guides. And so, long story short, they had the inclination to quit, right? But it wasn't like, okay, we're going to get up here, we're going to have the parameters set. It was just more of an inclination, a strong inclination to quit. So they decided not to go. The rest of those people that happened to go on that trip happened to die that day because of the parameters around the weather and whatnot. And so I bring that up because quitting is that's a skill set, being an entrepreneur, that you have to hone. You know, there's a lot of people that say never quit, never give up. Yeah, never quit, never give up. But you better adjust. You better adapt. Do not be hard-headed and try to ram your head through all these obstacles, because that's not the way to do it. You got to be like water and flow and maneuver through gracefully and intentionally. And through that process, you're going to learn so much. Like, even down to Shine Digital, this has been a year's process from the podcast. You know, I started off as the agency, and I started off just doing ads, and I failed a lot. But I had to quit that because I seen that wasn't the approach that I wanted to take long term. You know, it wasn't just about the money. I had to build a foundation, this podcast and website and the channel, to continue learning and sharing through what I've learned through all my other endeavors, and then share that and build upon that. Not just doing it for the money. Now that brings us to our third point. Not just doing it for the money, guys. Because I'm trying to tell you from personal experience, you will build this up and you will not like it. You will be bound to it just because you have to make money. Instead, start building the things you love incrementally as an entrepreneur. You know, like, yes, you have to make money, but know your intention beforehand. Is this to make money, or is this something you love? Like this podcast. Absolutely, I'd like to monetize it and, generate cash flow through different avenues. But that can't be the focus. The focus, first and foremost, is learning, sharing, and growing. That's that right there. And the rest will come from it. And that's the intention I've set for it. And so now I build the parameters around that. The goals, the intentions, the outlook, all that is around that. As an entrepreneur, we have to build that vision to be able to see down the road, be able to see scenarios unfolding without us necessarily always taking action. Because if we have to take action in order to learn all these things, we don't have enough lifetimes. You have to build practical wisdom through experience, and then extrapolate that experience wisdom and apply it to other scenarios and see how it would unfold. So for me, as an example, let's say someone comes across right now and they want to partner up, and they say that we do the jobs, we split it half-half, right? From my practical experience that I've learned, that's not a scenario I'd like to go down again. So what I can do is, instead of going down that road to learn and see how it goes, I can extrapolate from previous experience and then come to them and say, listen, that is not necessarily what I'd like to do. How about we keep our parameters separate instead of us working together? And let's say I bring you the leads and you simply buy the leads from me and you can do the job, right? Or if you like, just whatever it is. But see, I'm able to come back because of the experience I've learned before. So make sure you're learning from your previous experience, guys. Be aware of your relationships. Be aware of them, and continue to keep excuse me, piecing it together, because it's a process. It is a process. And also know how to fail. Not failure, but know how to fail. Know how to, lose. The best losers win. That's actually a book, but that's correlated to trading. If you're into trading, check out our other podcast, Macronomics. That is a great book. The Best Losers Wins. It essentially talks about people within the trading realm. In order for them to truly prosper, they have to be able to lose. If you can't lose, you can't win. You gotta learn how to give an ass whooping. Or, excuse me, you gotta learn how to take an ass whooping before you can give an ass whooping. Period. You can't give an ass whooping if you haven't learned how to take one. And so, within your journey, be aware of your relationships, because they're paramount. You need them in order, as an entrepreneur, to build businesses, to build great businesses with your clients, etc. But also know when to not invest in them. Know when to quit, because you might be going down or climbing up the wrong ladder, and you could have just looked up and seen, oh wait, you know what, at the top of that roof, that's actually not where I need to be, because it's not correlated with my intention that I initially set before I even started climbing this ladder. Having that vision to look up and out without having to actually use up your time and resources to climb all the way up that ladder. Figuratively speaking, in this scenario, it'd be like spending years or however much time going up that ladder, using resources when you could have saved that. Have the foresight. Develop that foresight through your experience. And then the third one is, of course, like we was just saying, look outward. Don't go through every scenario forcing it. Use some of your previous experience to apply it to your experience now. Now that's going to be it for today's episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Until the next one, continue to keep piecing it together. And until the next one, keep shining.